Autumn always made the mountains look honest, if that's what Daniel used to say. The trees didn't hide behind summer's thick green leaves anymore. In fall, everything stood exposed, branches bare, colors burning red and gold, the forest showing its bones. It felt cleaner, truer. That was why the four of them chose October. Daniel Harper, the planner; Mason Reed, the joker; Ethan Cole, the quiet one; and Lily Carter, the one who noticed details everyone else missed. They had been friends since college, bound together by late-night talks, cheap coffee, and a shared love of the outdoors. When adult life began pulling them in different directions, the annual hiking trip became their promise to stop time, even briefly. This year, they chose Black Hollow Trail. That it wasn't famous. That was the appeal. A long, winding path through dense forest, cutting across ridgelines and disappearing into valleys that didn't show up clearly on maps. Online forums mentioned it only in passing. A few hikers praised its beauty. Others warned it felt wrong. Daniel ignored those comments. People say that about any trail that isn't a tourist trap, he said while loading gear into the trunk. It's just nature doing what it does. Lily wasn't so sure. She stood apart from the others at the trailhead, staring at the wooden sign half swallowed by moss, Black Hollow. 14 ls below it. Someone had carved a sentence into the wood long ago. Time had worn the words thin, but Lily could still read them. Some paths don't want you. You good? Ethan asked. Lily nodded, though unease crawled under her skin. The forest was quiet in a way that felt deliberate, as if it were listening. Into the trees, the first few miles were perfect. Leaves crunched beneath their boots. Sunlight filtered through orange and yellow canopies, painting the trail in warmth. Mason cracked jokes, exaggerating every sound as a sign of lurking danger. If I disappear, he said, tell my story on a podcast. Daniel laughed. Relax. Worst thing out here is a twisted ankle. Ethan walked behind them, eyes scanning the woods. He didn't talk much, but when he did, people listened. Does anyone else feel like we're being funneled? He asked quietly. Funneled how? Lily asked. He gestured around. Trails narrowing. Trees are growing closer together. Daniel checked the map. That's normal. Switchbacks ahead. Still, Lily noticed something strange. There were no animal sounds. No birds. No squirrels. Not even insects. Just the sound of their footsteps. They continued deeper, and the air began to change. Cooler. Thicker. The smell of damp earth replaced the crisp scent of leaves. By midday, the trail marker posts became harder to find. That's weird, Mason said. I thought this was maintained. Daniel frowned. It is. At least it was. They reached a fork in the path, one trail narrow and overgrown, the other wider but sloping sharply downward. The map showed only one route. This shouldn't be here, Lily said. Daniel hesitated. Maps aren't perfect, he finally said. We'll take the wider path. The moment they stepped onto it, Lily felt something tighten in her chest. Behind them, the forest seemed to shift. When she looked back, the fork was gone. The first sign, they stopped for lunch near a stream that barely moved, its water dark and reflective like glass. Mason skipped a rock. It didn't skip, it sank. Okay, that's rude, he muttered. Ethan crouched by the water. This stream isn't on the map either. Daniel forced a smile. A lot isn't on the map. Lily wandered a few steps away and froze. There was a boot print in the mud. Not theirs. It was old, edges softened by time, but unmistakably human. She called the others over. Hikers passed through, Daniel said quickly, but his voice lacked conviction. Ethan studied it. This print is going away from the trail. Maybe someone explored, Mason said. Lily noticed something else then. Next to the print, etched into a rock, was a symbol, a rough spiral, scratched deep enough to leave white scars in the stone. Her stomach turned. She had seen that symbol before in the comments of an old forum thread she read while researching the trail. A single post stood out, buried among others. If you see the spiral, turn back. The forest marks what it keeps, she hadn't told the others. It had sounded like superstition. Now, standing in front of it, it didn't feel fictional. We should head back, she said. Daniel shook his head. We're already behind schedule. Camp is only 5 miles ahead. The forest seemed to darken at his words. Camp that shouldn't exist. They reached the campsite just before dusk, or what Daniel insisted was the campsite. There were no signs. No fire ring. No clearings marked on the map. Just a wide circle of flattened leaves, as if something massive had rested there for a long time. I don't like this, Mason said quietly. The shadows stretched unnaturally long as the sun dipped behind the trees. The temperature dropped fast. They set up tents in silence. That night, the forest came alive, but not in the way forests usually do. There were no crickets, no owls. Instead, there was movement, Soft footsteps circling the camp, slow. Careful, tell me you hear that. Mason whispered. Daniel sat up, gripping his flashlight. Probably deer. The footsteps stopped. Then came something worse, that a sound like someone breathing. Too close, too slow. Lily clutched her sleeping bag, heart hammering. Daniel, she whispered. That's not an animal. Suddenly, the sound moved, fast, retreating into the darkness. Ethan didn't sleep at all. Neither did Lily. Someone is missing. Morning came gray and cold. Daniel emerged from his tent first, stretching. Mason, you snore like a chainsaw, he said, in no answer. Mason? Daniel walked to Mason's tent and unzipped it. It was empty, sleeping bag untouched. Backpack still inside. No footprints. No signs of struggle, just absence. Mason's gone, Daniel said, his voice thin. Ethan scanned the woods. He wouldn't wander off without his gear. Lily noticed something chilling. Near the edge of camp, carved into a tree trunk, was the spiral symbol, fresh this time. We have to leave, she said. Daniel swallowed hard. We find Mason first. They called his name until their voices echoed back hollow and wrong. No response. The forest watched. The trail that moves, they followed what they thought was the trail, but it kept changing. Paths looped back on themselves. Landmarks repeated. A fallen log they passed earlier appeared again hours later, untouched. This isn't possible, Ethan said. We're walking in circles. Daniel checked the compass. It spun wildly. Lily stopped suddenly. What if the trail doesn't want us to leave? The words hung heavy. Then they heard it. Mason's voice, faint, strained. Guys? Daniel ran toward the sound. They found Mason's backpack hanging from a tree branch, sliced open, supplies scattered below. Mason? Daniel shouted. From deeper in the woods came a whisper. Not quite Mason's voice. Daniel. Ethan grabbed his arm. That's not him. The whisper repeated, closer now. Daniel. Behind them, Lily saw the trees begin to lean inward, branches twisting like fingers. The forest was closing, and whatever had taken Mason was still hungry. The forest didn't let them leave. By mid-afternoon, the four friends were exhausted, drenched in sweat and panic. Every step forward felt like the ground itself was reshaping beneath them. Paths twisted and spiraled in ways that made no sense. What had once been an easy trail now resembled a labyrinth. Daniel's voice cracked as he shouted Mason's name again. Only silence answered, thick and heavy like fog. Lily clutched Ethan's arm. We're not going to make it out if we keep splitting up. Ethan nodded, though his jaw was tight. They had tried calling Mason, tried following the sounds of his voice, but every trail they took seemed to loop them back. Then it happened. A whisper in the wind. Lily, she froze. It was soft, but unmistakable. Not her imagination. Someone, or something, was calling her. Don't go, Ethan warned. It's a trap. But curiosity and dread battled inside her. She couldn't ignore it. Slowly, she moved toward the sound. Daniel grabbed her shoulder. Lily, wait. The whisper became a chorus, echoing from every direction. The trees themselves seemed to pulse, their twisted branches pointing her forward, beckoning. Before she could resist, the ground beneath her shifted. The forest opened like a maw, revealing a hollow she hadn't seen before. Inside, shadows moved unnaturally, and a faint light glowed, green and sickly. And there, tied to a tree, was Mason. His eyes wide with terror, lips moving silently. Help me, he mouthed. Daniel ran toward him, but the hollow seemed alive. Branches lashed out, thick and strong, knocking him to the ground. Ethan tried to grab him, but the forest refused to let go. Lily realized the truth in a gut-churning instant. This place didn't just trap people, it consumed them. She lunged for Mason, dragging him toward the exit. He fell into her arms, limp. His skin was cold, eyes blank, mouth open as if screaming, but no sound came out. Suddenly, a force slammed into her, shoving her backward. She tumbled down a slope, landing hard in a patch of leaves. Pain exploded in her ribs, but she could still see. Just barely. The horror unfolding. Daniel and Ethan were gone. Branches twisted around them, pulling them into the shadows. Mason's body slumped, disappearing into the tree's grasp. Lily scrambled to her feet. Her mind screamed, run, run, run. She tore through the forest blindly, the wind howling around her, leaves whipping her face. Behind her, the forest seemed to watch, to mock, the rustling of branches like dry bones scraping. Hours, or maybe minutes. Later, she stumbled onto a familiar trailhead. The sun had gone, leaving twilight heavy in the sky. She didn't stop. She ran until the road appeared. A park ranger found her hours later, wandering along the asphalt, crying, covered in scratches and dirt, muttering the names of the friends she had lost. When she tried to tell authorities about Mason, Daniel, and Ethan, there was no trailhead, no path, only the forest, calm now, pretending nothing had happened. And those search parties scoured the area for weeks. No trace of her friends was ever found. Lily never returned to hiking. The sound of whispering leaves haunted her dreams for years. And every fall, when the trees burned gold and red, she remembered the hollow and the spiral, etched into her memory like a scar. Some paths, she realized, didn't want people to leave. She was lucky. The forest let her go, but she was never the same again. The spiral symbol haunted her, always just out of sight, a reminder that Black Hollow was patient, and it always keeps what it wants.